Hello and welcome back to another How to Level Up. We're looking at Druid in standard mode. My main class has always been Druid, so I've got a lot of Druid cards. So probably slightly more heavier on the Druid legendaries. And just got some really good cards in this deck. Like I haven't really played with too much before. Like Steel Beetle is really good, um, because you can do a lot of stuff with this. Essentially what this does, this is like a it's like a strange place just to talk about this point, but if you're like between like say turn 7 and 10, it means that you don't have to do a heal turn, because this is a heal card, but it combos really nicely with a higher cost minion, and that's what you sort of notice if you look at the distribution of this deck. Like there's lots of twos, and then there's what 13 5 or mores, right? So what it generally entails is that in between say turns 10 to 30 or whatever, it's often going to be the case you have a 2, you have a 7, you have like a 1, you have an 8, or whatever it could be, right? So that's like sort of like the sort of mana cost uh, level of cards you're playing. So in a sense, this is a heal druid, right? When you've got Lucent Bark, it is always going to be heal. Let's look at the heal cards then. So we've got Crystal Power. Um, Steel Beetle, it kind of counts as a heal. Groundskeeper is a new card, the Druid Shaman dual class, pretty good card. Um, we've also got Hidden Oasis, of course. And any more heals? I think obviously Crystal Power, and yeah, not really, but got Steladris in there. So that will almost certainly you're going to want to multiply your heals for that. I mean, it depends on the class you're playing. If you're playing like a Shaman, I'd probably do maybe get a second Starfall. Starfall is really good comboed with Master Kel'Thuzad. But this card is the one. I think Oasis Surger is the card that makes Untapped Potential what it is. Like obviously with Untapped Potential, you always have Crystal Merchant, right? That's just something you can do. And there are kind of like interesting things like, um, even at the very early point, like there's I mean, there just happens to be like several different things you could do. You could like, if you've got turn 1, you've got no coin, should you play Untapped Potential? I normally do that. Um, because even though like it makes more sense to, you could say, oh well, you don't want to reveal that card, and then on turn 2 you can play it and you automatically go, a quarter of the way to the quest completion. In a sense, it's still kind of, it means you just can't play a 2, right? So different ways of looking at it, and I'm not sure exactly what the benefit of each one is, but I normally just play it straight off the bat with coin or without the untapped potential. And obviously, something, this would be an ideal turn 2. Um, but yeah, sometimes of course you do want to just play one mana out of sync. So it just depends. This is obviously good on turn 3. But at turn 2, a 1/4 is actually quite a strong card. Um, with Rising Winds, I would say the general tendency that I have with this is draw cards early game, and summon late. Obviously, once you complete the quest, you get both. But yeah, really, this is very dependent on your opponent. If they've got good cards early game, you're gonna sometimes that you. The thing is, like, if you're really forced to play cards because your opponent is so aggro, it can be difficult to get. It really reminds me of what Rogue used to be like, where you just take a bunch of damage and then you turn it around as the game goes on. Um, the question is, how much damage are you really going to be able to take before you can't before like the ball control becomes like impossible to get out of. Um, and that's the thing. That's like, I think the ideal thing with aggro decks is that you're not going to be able to quest complete immediately, like by turn 4 or 5. But you probably don't want to be quest completing much later than 6 or 7. Like, and I think that's kind of like the thing to look at. Nourish is also it can also be pivotal for quest completion. Remember, you could nourish into a one mana thing as well. So, and you could, because I mean that's a good way to do quest completion. Gain 2 crystals, deal 2 damage, for instance. That's like that's the way of trying to balance it out, because obviously it is, but you have to really like, Oasis Surgery is a really strong card. Well, I guess it's the same as the 4-mana Warlock card, isn't it? That discards a card. So, but no, well, because of the fact that obviously I'm talking about pre-quest completion again. No, well, it's not, is it? Because then it's 6/6. Yeah, I think in general, this is gonna like having 2/3/3s with rush on turn 5 could be pivotal. Obviously, turn 4 with coin. So yeah, very useful card, I would say, to keep in an opening hand, especially if you're not exactly sure what a deck your opponent's going to have. Removal, also useful in the opening hand, Wrath and Crystal Power. Sphere of Sapience is really is an amazing card. It really is an amazing card, this. And, it just completely, especially once you've got your Sarah Unleashed out, it will really dramatically accelerate the pace at which you're going to get those dragons out. So that's pretty cool. Worthy Expedition obviously is good. Another one to sort of gauge what your opponent's doing with the cards. Your main card, though, probably the main card that I use with Steladris is the Hidden Oasis, because it's just really strong with. And remember, of course, there's the good combo with Nourish into Hidden Oasis. Very, very strong combo, and yeah, especially if your opponent's got low cards in hand. Cenarius is a card that, obviously, if you play Druid, you're going to quite like this card. Works perfectly, I mean, think about that. 9 mana cost. So you get 2 4/4s. Yeah, so you get 2 4/4s, right? So that would be a 5/8, and then you have 8 on top of the 5 would be a 13, and then 8 on top of the... So yeah, so with Cenarius, you're going to get like a 13-16 total stat line, which is pretty good. And yeah. Anyway, that will do for now, so thanks for watching.